I had plenty of emotional nights just
Yep.
from that. And then also being in the area that was kind of like the middle of nowhere.
Today on the show, we have former college hooper and track and field star at UNC Asheville. She's the new director of basketball operations and assistant coach for the University of Memphis women's basketball program. Naderia Evans is up next. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Today's episode is the fifth in our series featuring the staff of the University of Memphis women's basketball program. She's a native of Gainesville, Florida. Today's guest set her sights on basketball and track and field, where she holds multiple records in both sports during her career at UNC Asheville. She's the new director of operations and an assistant coach for the University of Memphis women's basketball program. Welcome to the show, Naderia Evans.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Hi. I'm so excited to have you on here. Before we get into our conversation, I just want to remind everyone that Memphis women's basketball tickets are on sale now at GoTigersGo.com. The season kicks off with our first home game November 9th versus Alabama State at the Elma Rome Fieldhouse on the main campus of the University of Memphis. Season tickets start as low as $31 plus some change. And I hope to see everyone there. I will be there for the very first home game. Yes. I feel like all of y'all are like my sisters now. We hung out Sunday for the coaches clinic. And that was just a great opportunity, I think, for local coaches to come and see all of you in action and get to meet you. And I learned a few things that I didn't
Hey,
know. So, and I never played basketball. But let's really get started. Let's talk. I mentioned you grew up in Gainesville, Florida. So let's talk about like where you're from and what that was like growing up in Florida.
okay. Yes, I am from Florida. Originally, I'm from Melbourne, Florida. My
Okay.
dad hates when I don't say that. I feel like I grew up in Gainesville, though. I was originally born and raised in Melbourne, Florida. Um, my dad got a coaching job at LSU. We ended up moving to Louisiana for a little bit, but I was raised, I feel like, in Gainesville because then he started helping out with Coach Mouse at the University of Florida. So that's where I went to middle school and high school.
So how far is Melbourne from Gainesville?
Like I butchered this. If my mom's driving, it could be like 2.5, me 3. It's not that far.
Oh, but it's not like a suburb though. It's a little farther out.
Oh yeah. It's
So I'll make sure that I say Melbourne in the show notes, definitely on
well,
that.
no. Well, listen, when I went to college, I said Gainesville all the time. My dad hated it, but I said Gainesville. But, that's where I
so
spent my time.
so you mentioned your dad was at LSU coaching. Uh, did he play college basketball?
He's a
Or did
professional track coach,
Oh, he's
actually.
a track and field.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why you are double
Mm-hmm.
sports. Okay, got it. Um, I'll talk. It's interesting because the last two of you, your fathers have all played like some type of collegiate sport, and so I'm always looking for new people to be on our podcast. I couldn't think of the word. Oh, we're both I'm a little slow today. So we're just gonna give us a little bit of grace today. Hey, I'm all about being real on here. I'm not one of these that are like
Good. I love that.
everything has to be perfect and all that kind of stuff. Life happens and it's all good. It's all good. So you grew up, but Florida, that area of Florida, you would think it's all about swimming. For me, that's what I think when I think of Florida. It's all about the swimming and that kind of stuff. But track and field, I would think, goes with that. But what got you into basketball? If your dad's a track and field coach.
Yes. So all I did was track all my life since I was 4. So I already
Wow.
so I already knew. I used to sneak onto this track, this school called Oak Hall, where I went to high school when I was younger because it was a local track and I just loved to run. So like how kids like to go to the park, I used to say, "Daddy, can I go on a run?" They say, "Where are you going? How long are you running? Be back here at that time." So I was head over heels for track, and I was sneaking onto this school's track, and finally my dad was like, "Would you go to that school? They have a really good cross country program and a track program." And I was like, "It was a private school." I was like, "I don't know." Um, but then I ended up getting into the school and actually going there and running track. And my dad was like, "You have to find another sport because if you're trying to do track in college, like you you're gonna be burnt out. All you want to do is run, that's all I want to
Right.
do. And so I tried basketball when I was in middle school, but it was terrible. It was a joke. Actually, we won a championship, but again, it was a joke. But um, so I was like, all right, then I'll pick up basketball. My brother used to take me to this school called Beholds High School in Gainesville to their games all the time because he went to Beholds and I went to Oak Hall. And I
Right.
would watch these girls play, and I was like, they super physical, like they're banging with each other. They were so skilled and talented. So I used to tell him like, if I'm gonna play pickup with y'all, I want to play like them. And my brothers, they kind of like always went outside and played, and from there, I kind of started playing basketball. But once I went to Oak Hall, I got with girls. I was like, if I practice, I can be just as good as them. And then I was on varsity, and then anything I do, I want to be great in it. So at that point, it was me just during weightlifting class, I'm supposed to be lifting, but I was in the gym playing basketball during my lunchtime. I was in the gym playing basketball because I wanted to be good at it. And from there, it just went. I kind of just fell in love with it and
Do
actually
you
became pretty good in it.
do you remember a moment when you were just like, I love this game?
um,
That's a hard question for a lot of people.
I know. High school. Well, I think high school is when I told myself like I really like this. Like I was pretty good in high school. But I think when I finally got the urge to tell my dad, like, I don't want to do track in college. I want to play basketball. And I remember I was like freaked out about it. Like, I don't know how he's gonna take this. Like, oh,
How
he's been waiting for me to go to college and run track. And I mean, I had been talking with coaches for a while, and finally I was telling my mom, I was like, I want to play basketball. I feel like everyone here did track. Like, I want to do something different. She's like, just tell him. Like, that's not easy to tell that man.
how
So
did it take it though?
I was very shocked at my dad's like just growth as a man. I'd say he was very open to it, and I think I told him my senior night through my speech, and I was very
Oh my
emotional.
gosh.
And he
Oh,
got up, and he was like, "You can do whatever you want to do. Like if you want to
oh,
play basketball." But I was scared, and I knew in that moment I had everyone, all my teammates, my coaches, and everyone around me to support me. And I told him his response. I was like, that was a lot better with my support system around me. And how he responded to it was just amazing.
but you did go on to play to do track and field in college as well.
Yes.
Yes. Really quickly though, because I was talking to another coach the other day, and he coaches high school, and we were talking about just in general some of the attitudes of teenagers these days, and maybe it's a product of social media, because I think a lot of you on the staff kind of grew up without social media and with social media. So
Mm,
you're kind of, bordering those two worlds. But I think that, a lot of kids today, to quote what I'm going to go back to the Deion Sanders, the Oregon Colorado game this past weekend. And the Oregon coach made a comment about, we're not playing for clicks, we're playing to win. Forget the football game. But I think that comment, though, I think a lot of kids play for the clicks, for the social media, for the immediate reaction to that. And I'm not so sure the general population of kids have that dedication to being a great athlete
mhm.
as maybe they did 10, 20 years ago. Do you notice anything about that just in general working with kids over or the youth over the past few years?
Um, I would say obviously when it comes down to stuff like recruiting, obviously the social media is a big thing. Like where kids are going to school, they want the big school, they want to be able to post up on social media. So obviously I think it's changed with like recruiting
Right.
wise.
Right.
But in the sense of like work ethic, like I don't know if I completely agree, just because I feel like we have players that love to get in the gym, that love to work. Don't post about it. They don't
Sure.
need a coach to be in there to
Exactly.
display it. And I think there are kids out there that are still, just grinders, workers, not needing the attention or the spotlight. But obviously, when it comes to recruiting, that's something that I feel like has really changed in this
Yes.
generation with making sure we got the best photographer for them, making sure how can we make their
Exactly.
pictures look super exciting and dope because obviously they want to post on social media. But I think in a sense of when it comes down to what they're playing for, who they're playing for, and all that stuff, I don't think I haven't. I guess with the girls had the opportunity to work with, I don't think they're too big into what's being posted, what's being said about us. And I think our leader does do a really good job at being sure that that's not our
Right.
main focus. Like, like we don't care what outside world got to say because we're in our circle. Um,
Exactly.
so from my experience in just 2 years, I wouldn't say that with the girls I've worked with that we've had that problem of big on social media or trying to post things or worry about what outside world is saying, anything like that. But I think in a sense of recruiting wise, absolutely.
And I also think, and I will say that the person I was talking to was talking about boys, not
Mhm.
girls. And I've talked to some other coaches that coach girls, and they've talked about how, in some ways, it's easier to coach girls because they want to be coached. They want to, you know, work as a team more and those kind
Yes.
of things. But it is very interesting, and that was one of the things that I liked about all of you on the staff, is because you're bordering those two different worlds. And it's interesting to get that perspective of growing up without social media and then getting into social media and affecting. So when you were in high school, because I don't know the years, I can't do math in my head, but when you were in high school, did y'all have social media a lot at that time?
Oh yeah. Listen,
Okay.
I played against two of the players I'm actually now coaching and played with one of them. So I'm kind of
Oh
in the
my
ring.
God.
So yes, we definitely have social media. We had Snapchat, Instagram, all that.
Okay.
Now my
I'm
parents
aging myself now.
but yeah, we're actually a pretty young staff, but I would say I'm probably the youngest on the staff. So yeah, two of the girls I actually coach now I played against, and one I played alongside at
Is
university.
that difficult? Is that a little awkward, hard? Or maybe it's
Going into it last year at Gardner Webb, I played against all those girls, and I was really nervous about that and the
right,
respect piece. But no, I think giving credit to again our leader, like they call me Coach D. They respect me. I think too, knowing the type of player I was, and even with the one I played with, like she knew how I was as a player and as a
right.
leader. So I think that respect piece just like kind of rolled over, in a sense. And now it's not. I mean, obviously separating the two. Being that I'm young, sometimes you can engage in conversations and
Sure,
stuff
sure.
and things like that. So you have to say like, I can't take part in that and kind of step back. But they have a this is a really good group, and I thought that would be a lot more challenging than it was.
Well, and also, if you only play with them for 1 year?
I played with Kai Carter for 3 years,
Okay, okay.
and I played against Kiari Kane. I want to say 2 years, and Elijah spent 2 years. Or
But
not Kiari, 3 and
you're
2.
still at least 1 year older than them.
Yes, two.
Yeah, 2 years old. So that kind of helps too. Going back to high school though, so you guys had everything, all the social media, but when did you start getting recruited for college?
Um, Honestly, I was kind of late when it comes to track. Obviously, I've
Right.
kind of always been connected in with some pretty good colleges and pretty good schools just through my dad. So that was always kind of like a continuous thing. Um, but with basketball, I kind of got into that late again because it was me finally admitting to my dad that hey, I want
Right.
to play basketball. And I think when he saw like some of those coaches taking interest, I finally asked him to play AAU. I ended up playing one or two tournaments, not a lot because I don't know, AAU track was obviously my main thing. So I didn't really
Right.
have a lot of time for the AAU basketball part. But um, I started getting recruited, I'd say my junior year going into my senior year,
Okay.
a lot more. I think my first offer was UNF. I went to a few camps here and there.
Okay,
Um,
University of Florida. Is that
University
what
of
you
North Florida.
North Florida? Okay. North Florida. I can't talk today either.
And so, yeah, my recruiting process is kind of late, actually, actually, and I didn't play a lot of AAU, so um, there's a lot of me going to camps, my
Hmm.
schools, and went to FSU's camp, a few camps like that, individual camp, team camp, and then that's kind of how my process
So
started.
how did you how did you end up deciding? So did you went to UNC Asheville the whole time,
Mm.
or did okay? So how did you end up deciding on that?
Life kind of happened. I hurt my MCL beginning of my senior year of high school basketball. So I only played like 3 games, um, maybe four. I don't know.
So like kind of like Whitney, she didn't play her entire senior year, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of got hurt. Um, I didn't play. So that was kind of like obviously a lot of offers dropped. A lot of coaches that were calling and texting,
Right.
coaches had planned to come to some of my games, and I had to tell them like, "Hey, I'm not playing." And so that was kind of deflating. But I guess for me, I didn't take it as hard because I knew I had track. So I was like, all right,
Yes.
I'm gonna just heal up. I know. Obviously, senior night was hard for me. I actually didn't attend the game, which my coach was very upset about, but I just didn't want to, attend it. But I still travel with the team and everything like that. But I guess my main focus was getting healed up for my track season.
So, you were getting into basketball late anyway, and then um you don't get to play the majority of your senior year.
Mhm.
But you still had the backup plan, really a plan B, which was track and field, which you'd had such a long history in that people could see what you had done before. Um, what was your mindset like? Did the injury affect your confidence in yourself and in your performance? Obviously, probably, I don't know, was in track and field, but then separately in basketball too. Like, did it affect your confidence in yourself?
Um, I have a God fearing mom. I
And
mean,
God bless those.
I have a God fearing mom who speaks so much life into me. Thank God for her. And as soon as the injury happened, she was like praying over my knee and telling me you're
Oh,
okay. And she took me to all my treatments and therapy and things like that. And my ACL was, I got the good news of finding out it was just bruised.
right.
So I knew I was going to be able to come back and play. So I did try to go back and play a game. In that game, it kind of got hit and I flipped. And
Oh,
that's when I
that
was
makes
like,
that
I'm
makes me
done
hurt.
with. I'm just gonna stop and just lock in for track. So I knew once I found out it was bruised, I had all the confidence in the world. Like, oh, okay, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I gotta let it heal. It's a really bad bruise, but I gotta let it heal. And I think having that crutch of knowing like track is your main sport anyway, it was just kind of like obviously I wanted to play. It was games I cried watching because I wanted to be out there, obviously. But
Sure.
since the confidence with myself, no, I think I knew I'd be fine for obviously track. The main thing I was looking
Right.
forward to. Once I got started being able to jog, I was like, I don't got to bang and track. I just got to run. So it was just like whatever at that point. So I didn't experience like an ACL tear or anything like that. So I think if
Right.
I experienced something like that, I think it would have shifted my mindset a little differently. But when I found out it was a bruise, I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't really too deflated, just a little bit emotional and kind of sad and depressed. I wasn't able to play with it.
Right.
So,
Right. Was there a big culture shock between Asheville, North Carolina, and Florida?
yes,
Because
absolutely.
I've been to Asheville. I know what it's like, and I've been to Florida. So, but I mean, I haven't lived there. So,
Mhm.
what was that culture shock like for you?
So I committed to Asheville and decommitted twice
Oh
because I
my
was like,
gosh. Now, did they originally, let me ask you this, did they originally offer you for both basketball and track and field?
no, 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 just
Just track,
basketball,
just basketball.
just
Oh,
basketball. And I'll tell that after I tell you the culture shock.
okay.
But um, when I got there, I committed because of the girls and how consistent and persistent Coach Brenda Mock was with me and just always talking to me. Even when I got hurt, she's one of the coaches that didn't bail on me or stop wishing me
Right.
on game days, or just praying for me and sent me prayers, stuff like that. And that was big for me. Um, but I did commit it because I kept thinking to myself, that's I call it a hillbilly area. Aren't walking on campus and people was walking around barefoot, playing like I don't even know what it's called. It's like
Banjos?
yeah,
Banjos?
on the quad. And I was just like, this is not Florida at all. Then they talked about the seasons, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
hate being cold. I kind of diagnosed myself with being anemic, And I was like, I don't think I can do it. I've never seen snow. It's cold out there. I was like, I've never seen season. It's always hot in Florida. So that was something for me. Big culture shock for me.
So you decommitted twice, but what ultimately made you say yes and go there?
What I just told you.
Oh, okay.
After I
Okay.
decommitted, she
Right.
was still calling. My mom was like, I just talked to Brenda, and I'm like, why is she still calling you? And I
Because she could have
decommitted,
given up
but
easily.
it was more
Easily, she could
like
have given up.
I felt like she cared about me more as a person than a player. Just built off how she like when I hurt myself, she was the first person that texted me, and I did not expect that after decommit from her school, you know. And she texted me praying for you, things like that, and it made it an easy decision once I
Sure.
realized it was more about me as a person in general relationships rather than
Right. And
just
and
being.
I would also think that she saw something in you, even though, what you'd been through and not being decisive enough on going there, but she still saw something in you because it would have been really easy to just say, she's not worth it. I'm going to move on to somebody who maybe has been playing since they were like
That's so
10
interesting
years
to
old.
see that because that's what she told me always. Freshman year, I was like, well, why am I not playing? And da 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 da. And she would always tell me, like, I see something in you. There's
Right.
something in you. Um, and she
And
always
she was right. She was right. So I'm just going to read, I took this from the Memphis website, but um you were two sport athlete in basketball and track and field. You were named the Big South first team member during your time at UNC Asheville and the all-time leading scorer for the Bulldogs women's basketball program. And you were named the 2022 Big South All Tournament team as well as the Big South second team. And then let's talk about track and field. So it says you hold the second longest leap at 5.50 meters and the third longest jump at 11.35 meters in school history while competing at the Big South Outdoor Track and Field Championships. I like to give you guys props. Is that right? Did I leave something out?
no, you didn't, but I'm sure that's not there anymore.
Hey, you'd be surprised. You would be surprised. My co-host, who is not with us today, I know you guys are missing him. Scheduling and it's just been tough. Putting out 2 podcast episodes a week for just a little bit. It's been tough, and Mike's in DC. That's where he lives, so work has kind of prevented that. But he'll be back with us hopefully very soon. Um, but he's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the highest dunk,
Wow.
and that was 20 something years ago. And we're sure it's like 12 something feet. And we're sure that somebody has probably done that higher, but nobody's put the effort into getting it verified with the record books. So yeah, he still holds the official highest dunk, and I should know those stats, shouldn't I? He's gonna give me a hard time about that. So let's talk about then. Let's go on into you go there on a basketball scholarship. How did track and field come about? Was that just kind of thrown in the last moment, or
Anywhere I go, my dad is trying to talk to the track coach. He has a bunch of athletes. He try to put them in schools, and even here now, he's like, "What's the track coach's number?" Like, I don't know. I haven't met him yet, but
oh my god.
so he ended up connecting the track coach there. He had some athletes for him, and honestly, the track coach was actually really nice there at Asheville. He would always make jokes like, "You can come run for us." I'm like, "I don't know." My dad was he every day. Every time I talked to him, he was, "You gonna go do track?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So finally, I asked my head coach. She was like, "You got good grades, and as long as your grades stay up, you can do track." And I went out there. Honestly, I competed in like the last 3 meets because our season went so long. I think that my freshman year we ended up playing the championship game, the Big South tournament. So I didn't get out there till late. So I think I did like 3 or 4 meets. So I didn't do any running events just because obviously there was no time to train for those.
Right.
So I just jumped. Um, and that was fun. The following year after that, I began to play a lot more, and my value obviously picked up on the court. And she was, that track stuff is over, no more. So I enjoyed my 1 year of doing track in college. I did.
So you only had 1 year in track and field and you still got those records. That's pretty impressive.
Very shocked, honestly.
No, you got to be proud of yourself. Got to be proud of yourself. But it's also, I think that it's also admirable of you to recognize that, hey, I did my 1 year and, I'm going to put my focus into basketball because you could have easily made a choice going back to something you'd done the majority of your life.
Mhm.
You could have done that. So, you spent 4 years at UNC Asheville,
5.
5 years. And
Mhm.
then did you guys got an extra year because of COVID then,
Sure.
right?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's why you went to Gardner Webb?
No, I
No.
I was a director of operations at Gardner. So I was on staff.
Okay. Okay. I got confused. Sorry. So you spent 5 years at UNC Asheville. Um, and then what through that whole process, because when we talked to Whitney, who's by the time we do this, when hers will have already aired, she talked about her goal had always been WNBA. Like that was it. And obviously your path was different because you got into basketball late. But
Mm.
going into college, what was your plan for life after college? Did you get ready for an action-packed season of the University of Memphis women's basketball? Experience the thrill, the passion, and the power of women's basketball right here in Memphis. Be part of the excitement. Join us in the stands and cheer on our Memphis Tigers. Don't miss out. Get your season tickets today at GoTigersGo.com. Did you even think about that?
No,
Most
I
people don't. Most athletes don't.
I
Or
no.
they're thinking about, NFL, NBA, WNBA. That's what they're thinking about. But what was your mindset? Did you even think at all about what am I going to do after college?
I know for a fact I never had WNBA dreams, and I know for a fact I never had professional track dreams. Believe it or not, I always told myself I wanted to sit in the office, have to dress up every day for work, and work somewhere in someone's office, like and be like a higher up person, like a. That's what I always told myself, and I just when I looked around and I watched movies, I was just always the people that were like very successful and wealthy and had beautiful homes and
Yeah,
things like that. I think my main focus was with after college thoughts was just like I want to be someone to be a provider for my family.
sure.
And that's something I think my family never got from me until I graduated and they realized what my actual goals were. It was never like WNBA, it was never professional track. I wanted to be that person for my family to lean on and they needed stuff and be able to provide. And I wanted to have a good, strong, secure job that didn't
Right.
depend on if I hurt myself or if I was scoring a basket or running a time, like something I can control. Um, so
Just like
honestly, that was that was my goal. That was my
what
thoughts going into college. But when I walked into college, I was strictly focused on my basketball goals for myself. First year, all freshman team. And after that, every year was just something else. It got higher and higher and higher. And I had new goals every year. But for life, I had not thought about like WNBA, pro track. Nah.
so how did you come up because your degree is in mass communication and you have a minor in business, correct?
Mhm.
As long as the notes are right. um how did you decide on those specific degrees?
Well, again, no thought. I've never been confident in what I want to do or knowing for sure what I want to do after college. I used to always talk to my coach about it because I was one that don't put me in pointless classes. And I used to always
Right.
my or did my schedule. I'd be like, look, if you're putting me in something, make sure I need it. And then it got to a point where it was like, well, you've done all your prereqs, so what are you gonna do next? Now you gotta kind of start. If you don't want to take a necessary class, you gotta start coming with a plan. So I remember talking to my coach, and I was like, I don't know what I want to major in. She was like, "D, you talk a lot. Like you like to talk." That is true. I'm a talker. Um, she's like, I think you'd be good in mass communication. But then I got in mass communication and realized it's nothing to do with talk. So let's just talk about that. Um, so that's how I ended up choosing mass communications. And then once I realized I had the 5th year, I was like, I can give me something else. I was like, this
Right.
is the most, you know.
That's
At least,
yeah, I agree. It's the most well-rounded. So for those out there, for those young kids out there, what is mass communication really about?
I think it depends on your school. I'm gonna say that because at Asheville, that was like a liberal arts type of school. And
Right.
so it focused more on the theater side of things, but it was like the behind the camera. So like
Oh,
how to set up cameras and how to get perfect lighting and that type of stuff, or make a short film. It was nothing with me in front of the camera and having to talk.
wow.
Um, so I kind of was a little disappointed in that.
Yeah.
Um, but I still enjoyed it because it wasn't like I was sitting down and writing papers or taking tests. I was making short films and going
Right.
around campus or taking a cute picture with cute lighting. So it was still fun for me, but it kind of wasn't what I was expecting, honestly.
Well, and I also think, I think that the value of going through college and just getting that degree, regardless of what it's in,
Hmm.
gives you another different perspective on things, and you never know where some of those skills, come in handy, or just the some of the classes that you have come in handy. You
I
guys
did take
had
journalism class though, and I enjoyed it.
yes,
I got to write, and I'm a writer. I used to have
that,
journals when I was younger and just talk about my days, but I enjoyed that. So maybe, in my farther down the line, I have to get into something later. That's something
that's right. And you guys had media day yesterday, didn't you? Part two or part one or
we did part two.
yeah, I
So
I saw some of the pictures y'all were posting, all dressed up,
be
looking.
ready, be ready.
Um, so you get finished with college,
Mm.
and what did you were like? I'm done with college. I've graduated. What am I going to do now? I got to make a living.
So that's funny. That's a joke of my friends, and I always tell them I was gonna like they're gonna be big doctors, and I was just gonna be working a regular boring job. That's just random, but I always make jokes with them about that. But um, I decided I wanted to get into coaching a little bit. Well, did I decide to be about coaches? I'm not really sure. She told me I'd be a good coach, just because how deep I used to go into our scouts. They'll give us a scout, and I'll be like, I'd get on Synergy, and I'll be like watching them deeper.
Right.
I was the type of teammate that would record plays that we didn't go over in practice and send it to my teammates. I know they probably got super annoyed with that. I would be the one to say, "Hey, look, they didn't mention that this girl likes to post up sometimes, so be aware." Like that was
But
me as a
that
teammate,
was being you a coach. That was you taking a
right?
coaching approach. Yes.
And so my coach, I never forget, she made us do our own scout, and mine was like in depth. And I took it. I was so nervous about like I was taking the test, and she was like, called me in her office. She was like, "You don't want to go into coaching?" And I was like, I never really thought about it. And finally, I decided that like maybe that is something I want to do. But I used to always watch Mike Morrell, and I think he was the one that really influenced my decision. He was a men's coach for UNC Asheville, but he
Thank you
came
for telling me that because I was like, I don't know who he
he
is.
came later. And when they first came, his first year there, I think they won one game, one or two. Sorry, Mike, if it's two, but I think they won like one or two games in this first year there. And I remember just watching his practices, and I never missed one. Like I would text the boys and say, "What time are y'all practicing?" Because I wanted to know, and I was there. And I watched him for 3 years, and just how he flipped that program. They actually won the Big South Championship last year, so that was so cool for us to win, and then his team to win as well, and just celebrate, being able to celebrate that with him in that moment.
So why I have a question though. Why did you want to watch his practices? Because that's taking time away from the rest of your life, the rest of your basketball career, all of this stuff. So to go and watch his practices, what made you want to watch his practices?
So if you ask any of my teammates, they'll tell you that I was a basketball junkie. I didn't do anything. Like set weekends, nights, I was probably in the gym. It wasn't really going out and stuff. I tried to hang out with my teammates for my fifth year, but I was in the gym, and I just felt like there was a lot I can learn from. I mean, it's hard when you're kind of upperclassmen to really. At that point, you're kind of coaching on the floor, especially in my
Right.
position. So I really wanted to learn, and I was learning a lot of new things from Mike. He came in with a different approach to just about everything,
Right.
and I was able to really learn some things that I could bring into my game. But then also when I realized it, like maybe coaching is something I want to do. I have plays that he ran like 2 years ago, like recorded in my phone still to this day. Um, I just love the stuff he did and how he went about it and how he built culture amongst a whole entire new group and how he kept them bonded together with having a losing season.
Right.
I just love, I just feel like there's a lot I can learn from him. But so I got into the WBCA, so you want to be a coach program, but I had a 5th year. So I asked them, like, being that I have this 5th year, I want to take it, but can I still be in the program next year? And they gave me the thumbs up about that. And so I knew once I graduated, I was going to the WBCA, so you want to be a coach program. It's during the Final Four.
Right.
You're learning from different coaches. You get a chance to mingle, hand out business cards to a bunch of coaches all over the world. And that's where I actually it was my first time talking to Coach Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Was at the Final Four, and I'll never forget. I was on the phone with my mom.
You and Whitney both. She said she met her at the Final Four.
Mm-hmm. I was on the phone with my mom, and I was like, Coach Alex is over there. And mom was like, go talk to her. And I was like,
Okay, your mom was there with you?
I was on the phone with my mom.
Okay, because I
She
was going to
always
say she's
called
a
and
cool mom
she
then.
called and checked in. How's it going? Are you learning? But I was like, man, I think that lady hates me. Like, I don't think she likes me too much.
Why?
Whenever we played Gardner Webb, it was like, I don't know why I took that game so personal. I knew they were really good. Even when my
Right.
last year playing there, I was like, who do you think will win the conference? And I probably had a little more confidence in my team, but I'm a realist. I was like, Gardner Webb got a good shot. Like, they're pretty good. I seen the things she did with that program, and just whenever I played against her, I don't know, it's personal for me. Not personal, but it was just like I want to be able to play good against this team. It's one of the harder teams in our conference.
Right.
If that makes
Right. No, it
um,
does.
and so I just never thought it. I honestly made that up in my head. She never did anything or said anything to me. So I really don't know why I thought that, but I was like, she hates me. I was like, go talk to her. And I never forget, I went and talked to her. And she was like, I wouldn't say it's a lot of people, but you're probably one of my favorite guards in the Big South Conference. I was like, dang, I ain't. And so after the conference, after the convention, I followed up with her. And actually, I ended up sending like a bunch of emails out to different coaches, just trying to get a graduate assistant's position.
Right.
Um, and I remember she called me back and she was like, and I had just been told no by like 4 schools, making it to like the last round of interviews, and then no. Or
Right.
they went with someone that they knew. They went with someone that played Power 5. And I was like,
Yeah.
I can't get in this. No one knows me. I wasn't a Power 5 kid. Cause I remember at the convention, I was thinking to myself, I had my friend from Ole Miss. She would introduce me to coaches that she just already knew. And I'm like, she's already known because of where she played. So I was very deflated that I played at a mid-major that I felt like it would be hard for me just to get in because I played in a lower conference and I didn't know the
Sure.
bigger schools. I only really knew my conference.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very deflating for me, and that was hard. And I remember I started getting depressed because obviously if coaching didn't work out, I didn't really know what I was going to go do. And Coach Alex called, and she was like, "So I don't have a graduate assistant program." And I remember my heart. I don't have a graduate assistant position. I just remember my heart sunk, and I just like, all right, there ain't nothing else for us to talk about. She's like, "But I have a Dobo spot." And I was
And
like,
for
"Dobo."
those out there, Dobo is director of basketball operations.
I was like, Dobo, like I know how my Dobo stress. I know
Yeah,
everything
they
about
do.
Dobo through. I was like, I don't know. I can be a Dobo. I don't know the first thing about playing anything. I've never been out the country. I've never done anything. Um, I made sure I told her that. Like I've never, I don't know the first thing about
Right.
being a Dobo.
Well,
And she was
that she probably already realized that because you'd been playing basketball. I mean, that's kind of a given.
like, don't worry about that. We'll help you. And I told her I'll get back to her and I'll let her know. And I remember the first person I went to talk to was Mike Maroon. And I was like, should I just go play overseas basketball? Because I had that opportunity.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I kept getting told no. And I was like, I can't be a Dobo. And he was like, D, why you want to go play overseas? And I was like, I don't know, to travel the world for free, explore the world. I don't know. He's like, D, you can do that. You don't got to play basketball to do that.
Right.
He asked me why I wanted to be a coach and kind of was telling him a bunch of stuff. And after that, he was like, I think you made a decision for yourself, like what you should do. And he kind of explained to me, like, if you can get in this industry at such a young age, do it. Because it's hard to get into. If you
It
can be
is.
on staff at a young age,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you need to do. If this is what you plan on doing long term. And I called Alex and I was like, I'm gonna be a Dobo. I had to pray about it because I was like, Lord. But so yeah, that's kind of how that process went. Just after after basketball ended, and that was a big identity issue with me on my first
Mm-hmm.
year. I'd say that was really hard.
I want to say, I want to take a pause for just a second and point out that, I think a lot of people think that um, it's hard to transfer into a different type of job or industry, and that's part of what I do is coach people on pivoting in their careers. And that's really what the fifth quarter is about, athletes pivoting into something else. But the thing is, she saw something in you, and those are soft skills. Those are soft skills like leadership and those kind of things, and that you're teachable, that you're coachable. And anybody that goes into a different position they've never had, because when you get a promotion, you've never done that job before,
Right.
more than likely. But it's all about you've got the mindset and the skills that that job needs, not necessarily the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I applaud you that you thought about it and took that opportunity, because you're right. There's so much that you can so much that you can learn every day, skills from that job that you can take in so many different directions. Um, and so I really do commend you on that. So how was your first year as Dobo at Gardner Webb?
Well, as a player that in 5 years of basketball, you begin to forget that you can make mistakes.
Yes, and that's part of life. That is part of
Senior,
life. That's how
you
you
get as a
learn.
senior, like you're a senior, you can't be making these little mistakes. And so you get to a point where you become like, I gotta be
Right,
perfect. Then my being
right,
accused. And I think that was one of the hardest adjustments for me was knowing that I don't know this as well as I knew,
right.
that program. And I'm gonna have to learn and I'm gonna have to make some mistakes to learn. And that was like my biggest life lesson to know that I was gonna have to kind of fail to
Mm-hmm.
become, you
You
know,
are.
and this year I feel like I've learned a lot just from my first year last year to now, like not making those same mistakes and things like that. But I would say for me, I had a big identity crisis. Um, that was hard for me. Uh, really hard for me actually, because I was known for in my family was how well I did in sports. We went out track.
Right.
All I was known for by my friends, how good I was in track or basketball. All my friends were from track or basketball.
Yep.
So when I became basically a nobody, especially being a Dobo where I'm doing laundry now, I'm picking up food, I'm leaving practice to go get meals and doing all the behind the scenes stuff. It was just like, who am I as a person? What
Right.
do I actually like? You know, and I never forget like calling my mom and crying like, I don't feel like I have a purpose. I don't feel like and I couldn't practice because I was a Dobo at the time, and at the time Dobos can be on the court. I didn't have a group, so it was like I was working the clock, and I just was like, I struggled the first for a while with just who am I as a person and where was my value?
Yes.
Like I was bringing value anywhere. Um, it was really hard realizing that once you do decide to stop dribbling the basketball, I mean, I know
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned my escalades and all that, but that doesn't mean anything.
That's
Like
right.
in the real world, you ain't going up to people saying, I scored, I'm all time
Yeah.
scorer. Hello, my name is Darian, I'm the all time.
Right.
Kind of not how that works. And you don't become really, you're not really important anymore in a sense. And that for me was a hard pill to swallow. And I felt like, dang, maybe if I can get some action on the court and I'll feel better. But again, in those moments, like I couldn't get out there on the court and play with them. So I had plenty of emotional nights
Yeah.
just from that. And then also being in the area that was kind of like the middle of nowhere. But I learned a lot
Which
about myself.
doesn't help.
I learned a lot about myself being out there. I had a lot more time to spend on myself. I got into riding horses. I freaking love horses, man. I love horses. I love line dancing. I learned listen, interesting. I was like, I never thought I'd be interested in this, but then I also learned how to like find my value uh, within sports teams, whether that was coaching or, that was just me being someone for the girls to come and talk to. Open, they all came to my house all the time. I'll be sitting on my couch watching TV and Coach D open the door. I'm like, okay. Uh, open the door and they talk and, just come and talk to me, vent a little bit. So I kind of started finding my way, kind of finding my purpose. But initially, it was hard for me, extremely hard. And then also, again, me coming from a small school, a lot of our staff conversations, they're watching these Power Five, and they personally know these coaches and they know these players.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I love the game of basketball, but I broke it down in our Big South Conference. I studied the people I was playing. I never studied those people, so I couldn't really engage in conversations with them about basketball. I didn't know half the people they were talking about.
Right.
So I kind of felt like shunned, not shunned, but like I was just on the outside and just trying to like
Yeah.
fit in, find my way. Um, so that was kind of hard in the beginning, but once I got it, once I started, becoming more comfortable, like I said, finding my purpose and my reasoning, and obviously just loving being around the girls every day was and loving the game started coming in. We started playing and then we were winning and then all that those thoughts is kind of like went out
That's
the
right.
I was just like here we are and so I would say initially coming out that was hard. Like now don't ask me to play basketball. I don't want to play. I just want to coach. Like that was me last year. This year I'm good. I'm happy, and I mean, I was. Don't get me wrong. I was very happy last year as well. But initially coming out, like I still had that desire
Right.
to be
Sure.
like, like important, to be known, like that desire. But now I'm like, I like working behind the scenes. I
You
like
got
getting
that
my job
desk job.
done.
You got
I
that
like,
desk job.
yeah, I like getting my job done. I
That's
like don't
right.
ask me to play. I like being on the sidelines. So it's like a complete like 360 this year. So it's pretty funny.
But when we first met, I was telling all of you about our podcast, and that was one of the things when Mike got out of the Harlem Globetrotters, he was in for 10 years. He had an identity crisis. He went from being the celebrated athlete all over the world to just, Michael, can you go take out the garbage? You're going to pick up the kids from school today. What are you going to, what job are you going to do? And that was really what this came about. Just, and so many of the conversations that we've had with other athletes, you are not alone. It's a common thing, that transition from that identity crisis from, having this really high all the time with sports to what do I do now? And we've had talked to some people that couldn't even watch the game
Mm.
afterwards. Like there was one guy, one of Michael's teammates for the Globetrotters, he was on, and he said for years he couldn't even watch, he couldn't even be in a gym because it hurts so bad, and it's been very interesting to hear, but what you're expressing, and I think that is something that people don't see, those sides of it, and that was the whole point. And I thank you for sharing all that with us, because I think that's important also for young girls out there, you know, who I think struggle with identity anyway, in just society as a general. Um, so we're going to wrap this up now, but let's talk about you came to Memphis. Was it a hard decision to say yes to Coach Alex?
No.
No. Did you pack up right then and like I'm going now?
One thing that I want everybody to know about me is I'm big on loyalty and I'm big on genuineness. And even when it came to school, when my head coach I committed to left, that school was still the first school that gave me an opportunity. Did not give up on me when I hurt my MCL.
Right.
So I stayed. Alice gave me my first opportunity, not even to become a GA, but on staff.
Right.
So I'm really big on loyalty. I'm big on, so when she said she wanted to bring me, it was no question that I was coming along. I don't forget the things that people do for me. And I'm very appreciative of her. And I'll never forget her ever, even if life takes me elsewhere,
Right.
down, hopefully long down the road, if that's the case. But she'll be someone I always talk about and how she gave me my opportunity and how she believes in, helping. If you look at our staff, we're all young. Winnie had her first year last year as well, so she's believed and see things in people, and she's always trying to help people in a way.
She seems very chill.
Oh yeah.
Like, like I saw Sunday, although I embarrassed myself by introducing myself to her again, and she's like, I've already met you. I was like, oh my God. But she just seemed very calm and very just like, nothing really bothers her. I'm sure that's different like during game times and stuff, she's a bit more focused. But so, had you ever been to Memphis before?
No.
So you just moved here sight unseen.
Basically, I knew I
What
was.
what did you know about Memphis before you got here? Like the city itself.
When she told me Memphis, I started looking it up. Okay, now I'm not gonna embarrass myself,
No, I'll embarrass myself too.
but
I'll
I
tell you
didn't
what
even
I
know
knew when
Memphis was in Tennessee.
well, we don't really think we are in Tennessee either. So
So honestly, when she said Memphis, I said, okay, that's where we're going. And then I finally started looking things up on TikTok and on Google. Where can I get my hair done? It was never a question. It didn't matter. She told me she was going. I don't know. I don't know. I just was ready to go wherever she was ready to go.
it's a
Um,
bigger city than where you were, correct?
oh wow, yes. It's a way bigger city, even than where I was in school. So this is the closest thing to a back home feel I've had in 6 years. So
And I don't know. Asheville probably has good food, but we have good food here, good music.
Asheville's not touching Memphis.
Okay, good to know that.
When it comes to
Uh,
food.
so we are going to wrap it up because I know you guys have a very busy schedule. So I just want to remind everybody really quickly that as we come to the end, I want to remind everybody that you can give us a follow on Apple, Spotify, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We really appreciate those ratings and reviews on Apple. Really help our podcast get found and really help shine a light on all of our guests and their sports. And of course, we would love hearing feedback from all of you as well. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor for our show, you can contact us through our website at 5thquarterpodcast.com. And for all of you Memphis Tiger fans out there joining me, I hope you will be joining me in supporting Memphis women's basketball team by purchasing your season tickets today at GoTigersGo.com. First home game is Thursday, November 9th versus Alabama State at the Elma Rome Fieldhouse on the main campus of the University of Memphis. Nadiria, thank you so much. Can I call you Coach D? Of course, I'm probably not going to remember everything, although I do have to tell a funny story. So we'd only met like one time, and you came up to me and you're like, Sunday, and you're like, you look familiar. I said,
like she's somebody I've known. She's someone I've met and I've talked to for a while. And then when they said that, I was like, this is embarrassing. So I had that embarrassing moment as well.
No. And coincidentally, I had on the same dress. So that was probably what made it really weird. But then, I'd only seen you guys once or twice as well, other than quickly looking at your profile pictures to make sure I'm emailing the right name and the right email address, which we've already messed that up once. But yeah, and then I reintroduced myself. So it's all good. We're all good. I'm all about, just laughing and going on with the flow. But thank you so much. I'm so excited to see you guys in action. And I appreciate you being on the show today and just love all of you. I said that I feel like I'm a family and just
our
love
family.
it.
We are family.
That's right.
Everyone to feel. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're quite welcome. So thank you all for joining us on this episode of the Fifth Quarter Podcast with our guest, Nadiria Evans. She is the Director of Basketball Operations and Assistant Coach for the University of Memphis Women's Basketball Program. Until next time, remember, change is our ally and it paves the way for greatness. Stay inspired. Have a great rest of the week. Thank you.